All right, let's dive into Symphony of Cosmic Tides. And more specifically, Season 2, The Norai.
Okay.
Which is from Rise of the Norai by Cosmic Storm Riders. Have you heard this one?
We have, yeah. It's a pretty wild ride.
So we're on this planet, Veridia.
Right.
And it's got all these different landscapes and life forms, really diverse. And then you've got these...
Norai.
The Norai, right?
Yeah.
Who are living in harmony with nature.
Yeah. They are like one with the planet.
And that's where it gets interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because now humans start showing up.
That's where the trouble begins.
Yeah. So how do they impact the Norai way of life?
Well, that's the whole point of this season, to explore that dynamic, how these two very different cultures interact. And in particular, you have Eron, who's a human engineer, and Atuk, the Norai leader. And their interactions are fascinating. You really get to see both sides.
I see. Okay. Well, let's jump right in. The first song, The Ancient Guardians.
Oh.
What's your take on this initial encounter?
Well, right away, you can sense the Norai's deep connection to nature right from the start. I mean, they're not just living in it.
Right.
They're a part of it. And their technology, it's not some separate thing imposed on the environment. It's integrated, seamlessly.
Yeah.
And Eron, coming from a human perspective, he's just blown away, the sheer scale of it, the complexity.
I can imagine. And their technology, it's like living technology. What does that even mean?
That's the question, right? It's tough to picture. But think of buildings that seem to grow, organically, like they're part of the trees and plants around them. And they use these bioengineered materials, supposedly.
Wow.
Self-repairing, completely sustainable. Imagine a city that breathes.
Wow.
Yeah, buildings designed to purify the air, recycle waste, all powered by natural energy.
It's amazing.
It is. No wonder Atuk is cautious about these newcomers.
Right. I mean, it's like having someone come into your home and they might just trash the place.
Exactly. He's got generations of Norai wisdom behind him,
Right.
He knows balance is everything for them. And introducing another species, especially humans, with our track record, it could mess everything up.
So there's this tension already, right? Between Cook's caution, and then you've got Eron, who, even with good intentions, he comes from a culture that's all about dominating nature, not collaborating with it.
Yeah, that's the heart of the conflict.
Okay, well, what about the next song? Echoes of the Lost Era. What secrets does this lost era reveal?
Well, they're exploring these ancient ruins,
Okay.
Eron and Atuk, and they find these remnants of an older Norai civilization. And it wasn't always so peaceful and wise. There are hints of conflict, environmental disasters, even collapses, societal collapses.
Wow, that's heavy.
Yeah, it serves as a warning, a reminder that even advanced civilizations, they can screw up big time.
Sounds like a cautionary tale, right?
Exactly. And for us listening too, a reminder about our own track record here on Earth.
Yeah, it makes you think, what mistakes are we making now that we might regret later?
Right, and Atuk is using these stories to teach Eron, too, about balance, about the dangers of unchecked ambition, especially with technology.
Yeah, and, it makes you wonder if even the Norai messed up, what hope do we have?
Good question. But let's move on to the living legacy. This one's where we see the true marvel of their living technology.
Okay, lay it on me. What makes this living legacy so special?
Eron, he gets to see the Norai cities. And I don't just mean individual structures, I mean entire ecosystems, urban ecosystems that are part of the natural environment.
Wow, that's hard to imagine.
Yeah, buildings with walls made of bioluminescent plants. So they provide light transportation systems that mimic water flow, energy from wind and solar.
Incredible.
Yeah.
How do they even create these living structures? What's the science behind it?
They're masters of genetic engineering, that's for sure. But it's more than just manipulating DNA. It's about working with nature, encouraging growth in specific ways. Imagine seeding a building and it just grows and adapts.
That's both amazing and scary.
It is. And it challenges our whole concept of what technology can be, right? Can we ever achieve that kind of harmony with nature?
Big question.
Okay.
Let's move on to Songs of the Crystals. Crystals holding memories. I'm hooked already.
This one is about Norai spirituality, their collective memory.
Yeah.
Imagine a cave filled with these glowing crystals. And each crystal, it's not just information, it's experiences, emotions, wisdom from generations and generations.
So they can access the memories of their ancestors.
It's implied, yeah, they can plug into a collective consciousness.
Wow. That's beyond anything we can even dream of.
Yeah, it gives them this unique perspective on time, on how everything's connected.
So they don't just learn about history, they experience it?
Exactly, and feel its weight, carry that wisdom with them.
Incredible.
It is.
Okay, let's take a breather and move on to the next track.
Sure.
In the Shadow of Giants. What's the deal with these trees?
Well, on Veridia, they have these ancient forests with these massive trees. And they're more than just trees. They're like living monuments. They've been there for millennia.
Wow.
Their roots, they're intertwined with the planet's core. And they hold deep spiritual significance for the Norai.
I can imagine, like, they're these wise old beings.
Yeah. The Norai see them as guardians of their history.
So it's like the crystals, right? They hold memories, wisdom.
It's hinted at, yeah. The trees hold the memories of their ancestors, and the Norai believe they can tap into that ancient wisdom.
It's like nature worship, but on a deeper level.
Right. Makes our efforts to preserve nature seem so superficial.
Yeah, we're just scratching the surface.
Exactly. Okay, now let's talk about the Norai Code.
All right, what's the code all about? How does it shape their society?
The Norai Code, it's their philosophy, their ethics. It's not just rules, it's a way of life.
Okay, so what are some of the key principles?
Well, the biggest one is interconnectedness. The idea that everything's connected and your actions have ripple effects.
So it's the opposite of our me first attitude.
Exactly. They believe your well-being is tied to the well-being of the community, the environment.
That's a tough one for us humans to grasp.
It is. They also have a deep respect for all forms of life, not just sentient beings, but plants, animals, everything.
So it's a blueprint for sustainability, basically.
Pretty much. Take only what you need, give back to the land, live in a way that sustains, not depletes.
It's a beautiful idea, but can we ever actually achieve something like that?
That's the question, isn't it? Whether we can shift our values enough to make it happen.
Big challenge. Okay, let's move on to Alliance of the Stars. Now we're getting intergalactic.
Yeah, this one takes us beyond Veridia. It shows that the Norai, they're not isolated. They're part of a network of civilizations. And they have this vision, a vision for a peaceful galactic community.
Like a Star Trek Federation kind of thing.
Something like that, yeah. But do the other species share their vision?
That's the question, isn't it? It seems like there's bound to be conflict.
There are definitely challenges ahead.
Especially with the Norai being so cautious.
Yeah.
Like we talked about earlier. All right, well, that's it for the first half of the Norai.
Yeah, that was a lot to cover.
It was, but it's fascinating stuff.
Absolutely.
And I have a feeling things are about to get even more interesting.
You're telling me. We've only scratched the surface of this conflict.
So listeners, stay tuned. We'll be back soon to continue our deep dive into the Norai and see what other twists and turns await us.
I can't wait.
Me neither. See you next time.